My daughter, lied once, I believed her and kicked my son out. 2 years later, she needs his kidney, but he refuses to save her. I never imagined I'd write something like this, or that I'd be sitting here alone, my hands shaking, revisiting every decision I made that night, every word I screamed, and every quiet I chose to maintain. I was 38, and my spouse was 39. We had 2 children, Adrian, 18, and Isabella, 9. Despite the significant age disparity, I always assumed they loved each other, looked after each other, and were close siblings. Adrian was quiet and reserved. He enjoyed reading, staying in his room, and studying. Yet he was a good lad. He never responded to me, never caused difficulty, and never gave me any reason to distrust him. Isabella was the complete opposite, cheerful, active, a whirlwind, constantly moving and talking. And because I worked part-time and my husband spent long hours away, Adrian frequently looked after her. He would return home from college and be with her until I arrived. There were no indicators. Until that night, it was a family meal. We'd prepared spaghetti. My sister-in-law provided the wine. My nephews were playing in the living room. My husband, my children and I were all at the table, along with a couple of cousins. Nothing unusual, nothing out of the ordinary. And then Isabella spoke it plainly, without drama or tears, like if the neighbor's dog had bitten her. "Adrian touched me down there," she said simply and coldly, as if she didn't realize the gravity of the situation. Everything ceased. My cousin quit speaking. My spouse stared at me. I gazed at my kid. "What did you say, my love?" I asked softly, trying not to shake. My brother touched my private parts twice. I coughed on my own breath. Nobody said anything for a few seconds. Then my hubby got up. His chair tipped backward. I followed him as if my legs were moving themselves. I called Adrian. He didn't respond. I called again. This time he picked up. "What's wrong, Mom? Come home now." "What happened?" "Just come home." He got off the line. It took him 20 minutes to arrive. He stepped in with his knapsack on his shoulder, perplexed. "What happened?" Before he could respond, my husband pushed him hard against the wall. "Did you touch her? Did you touch your sister?" "What? What are you talking about?" Adrian couldn't grasp. I swear it. I could see it on his face. He was pale, terrified, stammering and shaking his head. "No, of course not. I would never do that." I don't know why she's saying that. But my husband wouldn't let him go on. He punched him in the face. Adrian collapsed to the floor, bleeding from his nose, and looked up at us with a mixture of terror, amazement, and something more. Something I'd never seen before in him. Betrayal. I did nothing. I simply gazed at him. I did not hug him. I did not defend him. I did not believe him. My husband went to his room and got his backpack, clothes, and paperwork. He went outside, flung everything on the doorstep and screamed, "You're dead to us, never come back." Adrian was crying, practically begging. He said he didn't comprehend and it wasn't true. "Please don't kick me out." And I simply stood there clutching Isabella. No word, not a single one. We excluded him from everything. We changed the locks and canceled his college support. He never returned to that house or made another call. He ceased to exist for us. We spent weeks convincing ourselves that we had done the right thing by sheltering our baby. We questioned her multiple times if there was anything more that had happened. She only said no twice. And we never took her to a psychologist because we thought our love was enough and we blindly believed her. For a while, it appeared that peace was returning. Isabella played, smiled, and slept better. I started sleeping too, until the dreams started. I would see Adrian on the floor, his face bleeding, his eyes wide, gazing at me, his mother, and asking, "Why?" Because I didn't inquire, I didn't doubt, I simply acted. That was the night I completely destroyed him. Months have passed since we kicked Adrian out. Months of silence, denial, and thinking we'd done the right thing. Isabella smiled again, playing. She even mentioned that she felt safer today. I viewed that as a sign that we had acted appropriately. My husband never brought up Adrian's name again. Whether I indicated that I missed him or inquired whether we knew anything about him, his expression would freeze me from the inside. Adrian didn't exist for him anymore. Until that Saturday, Isabella was on her way to art class. An elder cousin was driving her. It was a calm afternoon. I was folding laundry when the phone rang. I don't recall much of the call. Only a few words remain in my ear. Accident, head-on collision, ambulance, one person killed. The girl is in critical condition. My husband followed me as I hurried to the hospital. We arrived as she was being brought to the ER. There was blood, there were shrieks. Doctors were scurrying everywhere. I saw her pale, unconscious little face covered in tubes. For a little moment, the world fell silent again. My niece was killed in the impact. Isabella lived, but only barely. The diagnosis was straightforward: serious damage to her left kidney, several internal hemorrhages, and contusions. She would require immediate surgery, most likely a transplant. The physicians advised us that time was of the essence, and that we should be prepared for the worst. We spent days in the ICU. I never left her side, sleeping on a chair and refusing to eat. I simply stared at the machines that kept her alive. My husband became a statue. He didn't speak or cry. He was simply there. One night Isabella opened her eyes. She was weak. She couldn't speak clearly, but she recognized me. She gave me a small grin and asked, "Mom, do you think there is a heaven?" My throat tightened. "Yes, my love, of course there is." "And do you think bad people can go there if they're sorry?" "Why do you ask that, sweetheart?" She took a break. Her gaze grew far away. "Because I did something very bad. Something exceedingly awful." I felt my stomach drop. "A few months ago I lied to you. I lied about Adrian." I didn't speak. "What? What did you lie about?" "I made it up, Mom. The part about him touching me. It wasn't true. I was just angry because he wouldn't let me use his tablet. I wanted to punish him. I thought if I said something I don't know. I didn't think all of that would happen. Then I became afraid and didn't know how to convey the truth." Her eyes flooded with tears. Mine had already overflowed. "I killed my brother," she replied, sobbing. "And now I'm going to die too." I clutched her, as if I might draw her soul into mine. "Don't say that. You're not going to die. Forgive you. I'm right here with you." But inside, a fracture was tearing me apart. Not for her, but for him. Adrian. For his expression on the floor and his quiet. That night I returned home. I dragged myself like a dying beast. I told my hubby everything. He was calm. He didn't say anything for several minutes. Finally, without looking at me, he murmured, "We're not going to judge her. What's done is done," and walked away. His apathy hurt me more than his fist that night, but I couldn't take the stillness any longer. In the early hours of the morning, I looked for Adrian. His phone number was disconnected. I found him after searching social media platforms. A profile image without a face indicates a semi-abandoned account. I emailed him, "Hi, it's me. Please just read this." He did not respond. I waited 1 day. 2. On the 3rd day, I sent an additional message. Long and painful. I informed him about the accident, Isabella, and the confession. I told him I wasn't expecting him to forgive me. I just wanted him to know Mom wanted to see him, that she didn't have much time, and that we weren't asking for anything else. Hours later, a response. "You all hurt me too much. I don't know if I can forgive, but if she's as bad as you say, I'll go one last time." My hands trembled as I texted him the hospital location. I heard nothing else for 3 days. I was in the hallway when I noticed him. Adrian is leaner, has dark circles under his eyes, and wears basic clothing. He walked as if he were carrying the weight of the world upon his shoulders. My heart desired to run to him. My body did not move. I watched him enter the room. She spotted him. He stared at her, and time stood still. Isabella burst out in tears. "I'm sorry. Please, I ruined you." Adrian listened quietly. "I can't forgive you completely," he finally replied, "but a part of me already has." He grasped her hand, spoke to her for a few minutes, and then went. He did not greet or glance at me. He only left one sentence before going away. "If there's a funeral, I'll be there. But don't expect anything else." He didn't say anything else after that. Do not anticipate anything else. Adrian vanished again. No message, no reaction, only the echo of his voice in that room, in Isabella's cries, repeating her apology again and over, as if asking for forgiveness was sufficient. But I couldn't sleep now that I knew. I knew time was running out, and the only person who could save my daughter was the same one I had assisted in destroying. A week after his visit, the doctor confirmed it. "She's going to need a transplant soon." My spouse and I had compatibility tests. We weren't compatible, neither of us. The risk of rejection was exceedingly high. The doctor was direct. A biological brother is the best option. If he's a match, the chances are much higher. I'd already known. I'd seen it in the medical records. They have the same blood type. O positive. Even though I knew I had no right, I looked for him again. I wrote to him from a number he didn't recognize. I just said, "It's important. Please, we need to talk." To my amazement, he consented. We met in a small remote coffee shop. He was on time. He strolled in alone without looking at anyone. He was wearing the same modest clothes and carrying a rucksack on his shoulder. However, his eyes were different. They were no longer the eyes of a hurt youngster, but of someone who had learnt to accept the emptiness. He sat across from us. My hubby was beside me. Nobody talked for several seconds. He interrupted the stillness. "What do you want?" I gulped hard. My voice quivered. "Adrian, we checked the test. There's a high chance you're a match for Isabella. The doctor says if you get tested, you could save her." He wasn't responding. He expressed no rage or astonishment, only fatigue. "You're asking me to donate to my sister?" "Yes, I told you." My husband intervened. "We know this doesn't erase the past, but it could be the first step to fixing things. To becoming a family again?" Adrian raised his eyebrows. He then gazed at us with surgical coldness. "Becoming a family again?" I asked, choking back tears. "We're not asking you to forgive us, just to help her. She's dying." Then he smiled. However, it was not a cheerful smile. It was a sad, sardonic, and perplexing smirk. "And you think this fixes everything?" My spouse asked, winking. "It's not for us. It's for her." Her? The same one who said I touched her? The one who watched me sleep on the street and didn't lift a finger? The one who only said she was sorry when she realized she might die? I tried to interrupt. "Adrian, please. Do you know how many times I thought about dying?" he asked. "How many nights I slept clutching my backpack? How many times I didn't eat for 2 days because I didn't have a single coin?" He looked at us but didn't notice us. He was speaking to his recollections. I was about to throw myself off a bridge, not once but 3 times. And you know why I didn't? Because I told myself, if I survive this, then I'm going to live my way without owing anything to anyone. He took his place. And now you come to ask me to cut myself in two, to give a part of myself to save you. My husband stood up as well, this time with his fists tightened. "Your sister is dying." "Doesn't that mean anything to you?" Adrian asked, his expression mixed with wrath and pity. "You know what it means to me? That now it turns out I'm worth something. That now you need me. That now you want to listen to me." I was shaking with joy. "Just think about it, please. If not for her, then for yourself. So you can get closure on this." He was grumbling. "I've already got closure. I received it the night I slept on the street with a bloodied face while you celebrated Christmas without me." He then left. He did not shout, cry, or disrespect us. He just departed. That was the last time I saw him. I did not sleep that night. My husband paced the living room like a caged lion, muttering words like, ungrateful, selfish. What kind of brother does that? I heard him, but I didn't disagree because one phrase kept replaying in my head. She is dying, and he can save her. I felt useless, empty, and increasingly desperate. So I did the unthinkable. I opened Facebook. I shared a photo of Isabella in the hospital. Tubes, dark circles, her little face sleepy, delicate on the verge of death. I wrote a lengthy, honest, yet twisted text. I informed them that we needed a donor, that her brother was a match, that we had already apologized, that the girl had sought forgiveness, and that he was the only thing missing. I tagged him, using his full name, and concluded with a condemnatory sentence. What kind of monster refuses to save his sister when he has the power to do so? First there was silence. Then the post blew up. Dozens of reactions, hundreds of comments, initially from acquaintances, then relatives, and finally from complete strangers. Everyone held an opinion. Everyone pointed fingers. Everyone judged. Seriously, he's going to let a little girl die? A kidney, it's one kidney, you can live with one. After everything she suffered, it's the least he could do. What kind of human trash? A life for a life. It makes up for the damage. Some people went even further. A monster disguised as a victim. Anyone with a heart would donate without thinking. Maybe he did what the girl said, and that's why he doesn't want to help. That one hurt more than I expected because, despite knowing Adrian was innocent, I had made him the target again. I had unleashed a digital mob, but in my mind, I kept thinking the same thing. If he feels forced, he might say yes. Several hours passed. I reloaded the post every 5 minutes, waited, and checked his profile. Nothing. Until about 4 hours later he responded. Instead of a remark or a private message, send a video. He shared a roughly 5-minute video on his profile, and it received hundreds of reactions in less than an hour. It began with him sitting on a bench, an empty park in the background, plain clothes, untidy hair, and deep dark circles, yet with an expression I couldn't recognize. He started. Hello, my name is Adrian. Many of you know me because of what my mother posted today. Some of you knew me before, others only from what you've read. I want to tell you something I never had the chance to say. He paused, took a long breath. 2 years ago, my sister accused me of touching her in front of my entire family, and without asking me or listening to me, they beat me, threw me out, and took everything from me. I was 18 years old at the time, and my world collapsed. I slept on the street, went hungry, lost my scholarship, had no one to call, slept in libraries, hid in public restrooms to wash myself, and considered suicide several times. He then presented a recording from his phone. It was a talk with Isabella in the hospital. Her crying, confessing, pleading for his pardon, claiming she made it all up, that she had wrecked him, and that she did not deserve his forgiveness. Then he looked back at the camera. I saved this recording not for revenge, but because I knew that one day someone would try to turn me into the villain again. He took a break. His voice cracked. I do not wish for my sister to die, ever. But I will not save the people who killed me while I was still alive. I will not give them a piece of my body as a currency for their redemption. I am not their second chance. He ended with a heartbreaking sentence. I am not a monster, I just learned to say no, and this time, I am the one breaking the silence. He stopped the video, and I stood there stunned, my phone in my hand. The notifications began coming in. But now the comments were intended for us. What kind of mother allows that? You are the real monsters. She lies. You attack. And he's supposed to save you? Disgusting. I hope you live with that guilt for the rest of your lives. The private messages were terrible. My sister has blocked me. My folks called me and cried. My sister-in-law wrote to say she hoped the same thing happened to me. Isabella saw the video. She saw everything. I discovered her crying alone in her bed. Everyone hates me, she said. Everyone, even him. I didn't know how to respond. I just hugged her, but I'm not sure if it was out of love or remorse. The video has gone viral. In less than 24 hours, Adrian's post was shared on Facebook groups, Reddit, TikTok accounts that collected family confessions, and even Twitter threads arguing whether he should give the kidney. It wasn't only our narrative anymore, now everyone had an opinion. The majority supported him. Some argue that forgiveness does not force you to sacrifice yourself. Others replied, a kidney doesn't pay for a ruined life. And many simply said what I couldn't ignore, they deserve it. Isabella, who had before been just another victim in a hospital, was now viewed as a manipulator and liar. The phrase false accuser began emerging in the comments. One that cut me like a dagger was, let her die, just as she almost killed her brother. I had to erase the message. But it was too late. The damage had been done. But Adrian was not finished. A day after the first video, he posted another. This time, he wasn't speaking in the park. He was sitting at a table, holding a piece of paper in his hand. I've received a lot of questions, and the most common one is, why can't you just forgive? I'm going to try to explain it without anesthesia. His voice was calm, tired, and precise. I was accused of child abuse. There was no trial or proof, just a phrase shouted aloud, and that was enough. I lost my house, my schooling, and my name. I became a pariah, and no one wanted to be near me. Have you ever attempted to rent a room with the rumor that you abused someone? Have you ever tried to find work with a stain you can't erase, even if it's a lie? He held up a document. His medical records from a year ago show that he was treated for suicidal ideation, severe depression, and starvation. The first time I slept under a bridge, it was raining. The second night, I thought about swallowing all the pills I had. The third, someone spat on me in the street. He yelled, child abuser at me, and I had no one to call. He put the document on the table. I don't need you to understand me. I just need you to listen. I don't want revenge. I do not wish for my sister's death. But I will not offer myself up as a martyr for a family that buried me alive. He picked up a photograph. It was of him and Isabella when she was a small child. They were smiling. His hand was shaky. I loved her. She was my sister. I made her breakfast, changed her clothes, waited for her after school. And when she said what she said, she didn't just destroy my life. She destroyed me. He tore the photograph in half. He remained silent for a few seconds. My kidney is not a currency of redemption. I am not the cure for anyone's guilt. I will not donate, and I will not apologize for it. He ended the video with a line that felt like a bullet. If you look for me at the funeral, I'll be in the back. Not to comfort, but to watch what you built and left to die. He put the camera away. I vomited after seeing it. That is not a metaphor. I practically vomited in the hospital bathroom, from terror, remorse, and the fact that I could no longer hide. When I returned to the room, Isabella was awake. Her eyes were inflamed. She didn't say anything, only said, "Does he hate me?" I didn't know what to reply because I had no idea how he felt, only what I had done and what was coming. The doctors informed us that her condition was deteriorating, that the days were numbered, that there was no longer time to wait for regular donors, and that Adrian remained the most compatible candidate. But he had already mentioned that there would be no donations. That night, my spouse burst. "Damn selfish, ungrateful bastard. Let him rot wherever he is." I tried to calm him down, telling him that cursing would not help. "And what do you expect me to do? Applaud him for letting his sister die?" He isolated himself in the kitchen and smashed a dish. I sat alone. In solitude, I grieved as I glanced at images on my phone of them as children, when they were innocent. I cried like I never had before because I knew Isabella was going to die. And it wasn't due to a shortage of kidneys, it was for something far worse, a family's refusal to listen, believe, and love unreservedly. The room smelt like disinfectant and sadness. Isabella was unconscious and linked to more machinery than her body. Her skin was nearly translucent. Every time the alarm went off, I held my breath. The doctor would come in, check, change something and depart with the same expression. Containment, not solution, only waiting. The donation list was not moving, the compatibilities were minor. The chances are nearly negligible, and Adrian was gone. After his second video, he vanished entirely, deleting his social media accounts, changing his phone number, leaving no trace. Nobody knew where he was. And to be honest, I wasn't sure I wanted him found. Not for his sake, but because I was concerned about what my husband would do if he ever saw him again. The days passed like sluggish blades. The hateful messages were no longer visible. They were now private. Some wrote to wish me strength. Others would tell me I deserved every moment of pain. A woman I didn't know sent me a message. "Proud of yourself now. You raised a daughter who lied and a son you destroyed." I hung up the phone. I did not switch it on again. One morning in the early hours, the doctor summoned us. The sentence was direct. "Prepare yourselves. She's no longer responding. It's just a matter of waiting for the moment." I walked out into the hallway. I slid from the wall to the floor. I did not cry. I just hugged my knees. My hubby didn't say anything. He was pale and shocked. He was not the same person who had beaten his son that night. He was a broken statue, waiting to be crushed totally. I returned to the room. I grasped Isabella's hand and whispered, "I'm here, my love. Mommy's here." There was no response. Just a continuous beep from the cardiac monitor. I closed my eyes and prayed for the first time. Not to a god, not for a miracle. I asked for time, just a little more, just a bit more. And a day later, we got a letter with no return address. There is no name, only a sheet of paper folded in three. It came from Adrian. "Don't search for me. I'm not going to change my mind. I don't want her to die, but I won't take part in a forced redemption play. Isabella lied, and you believed her. I was sentenced without a trial, and all I wanted for was to be heard. Which no one granted. So don't ask me to give you my body now. You've already taken my soul. They believe death redeems, but I died 2 years ago. Her end is not my fault. It is an echo of her origin. I hope you find peace, but don't search for it in me." There was no signature. Only a photo of him smiling from years ago, when he still considered us family. Isabella died a week later. There were no screams or warnings, just a flat tone and a straight line across the screen. My husband collapsed. I did not yell. I did not cry. I just held her until they removed her out of my arms. The funeral was modest and frigid. The majority of the family had withdrawn themselves, some out of shame and others out of hatred. Nobody knew what to say to us. And Adrian, he did come. He arrived in quiet, sat in the rear, did not cry, look at us, or approach the casket. Finally he rose up, left a single flower, and walked away silently. Today, I'm writing from a silent house. My husband no longer speaks. He spends his days watching television with the volume turned off. I stroll through the empty rooms with my daughter's clothes still folded on her bed. Every now and then, I look back at her last photo, when she was still breathing and had a chance. And I think of Adrian, of his words, his broken stare, of what we did and did not do. And I remind myself, death does not come alone, it carries remorse and memories with it. And neither can be buried. One suggestion. I read your whole story. I sat in silence and could only think. What an insane mother. You literally killed him in life and then you expect him to save you. After you took everything from him, now you're asking for an organ. If I were him, I wouldn't have given it to you either. In fact, I'd be in the line of people spitting in your face. I hope his gaze haunts you until your last day. 2 further comments. You left him without a home, without food, without emotional support, without a future, and you wanted him to risk his health for you. How can you even ask why he didn't want to donate? The answer is obvious and painful, because you killed him first. A 3rd comment. Your story is the closest thing I've read to a slow-motion murder. Adrian died when you threw him out on the street like trash, and now you're crying because he wouldn't save the one who lied. Did it not occur to you that every time he saw his sister, he was reliving the trauma? The nerve? The ego? The total lack of humanity? A 4th comment follows. The way you minimize everything you did is terrifying. My husband hit him. It sounds like you're saying he spilled his coffee. Your son was physically assaulted, thrown out, abandoned, and vilified by everyone. And you recount it as if it were an uncomfortable anecdote. What kind of emotional psychopath are you? The 5th comment is, you know what the worst part of all this was? That your daughter confessed she lied and you still decided to use her tragedy to manipulate your son again. You learned nothing. You just changed tactics. First it was guilt, then fear, then public blackmail. You are the nightmare of any human being with a mother. The 6th comment. I refuse to feel sorry for you. You made your son's life impossible. Then you tried to paint him as a monster for not donating a damn kidney. You used him like a piece of meat, and when he said no, you tried to manipulate the entire internet. How shameful. What moral depravity. I hope you never find peace. The 7th comment. Adrian is a hero for still being alive after what you did to him. He was the one who deserved help. He was the one who needed urgent therapy. But you were too busy protecting your parental egos to see that you were destroying him. And even today, you continue to blame him. Monstrous. The 8th comment. What did you expect? That he would give you the kidney and then you'd all pose for a reconciled family photo? This isn't a fairy tale. This is real life. And in real life, the people you destroyed don't come back when it's convenient for you. They don't forgive you automatically. They don't save you just because you're bleeding crocodile tears. Comment 9 is as follows. You used his pain as a public weapon. You exposed him with his full name. You humiliated him after having already thrown him onto the street. And you wonder why he blocked you? The question should be, how did he not sue you? Because he had more than enough reason. It's a miracle you're not in jail. And it's a miracle he's sane. A 10th comment. Isabella didn't die from lack of a kidney. She died from a lie and from parents who didn't know how to handle it. The blame isn't Adrian's, it's yours. You killed her with silence, with denial, with manipulation. And now you want to lay the corpse at his feet? I don't buy it. I'm not swallowing that.